Hello everyone, Lara Ross here. I'm here with Alana Malstein from the 2B Mindset, a very pregnant, 7 months pregnant Alana Malstein from the 2B Mindset. We are here today to talk about a very sensitive, sometimes scary subject, the scale. As many of you know, Alana is a real advocate of daily weighing and using the scale every day. But some people, find that a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that, especially the everyday concept, which, I'll talk about because it doesn't necessarily have to be every single day for everyone. I mean, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients, and not everyone takes to going on the scale every day from the start. But with time, people usually see that the more often they go on, the less of a thing it becomes. And the more of just like a daily tool it is to help you really develop a healthy relationship with food and your body. But I am a big advocate of the scale. I find people who are scared of the scale typically fall into one of two camps. Either people who just have avoided it for a long time. So most people,
makes it scary.
Yeah, that makes it scary. Like if you haven't gone on it for a really long time and you feel like you've gained weight over the years, it's terrifying to go on that first day. I totally get that. But it's a starting point. And being so scared of it for that reason is dangerous because then people avoid going to the doctor because they're just so scared of what it could be. And the more often you go on, you realize it's really just a number, and it's a measure of your health. And with the 2B Mindset, you're going to get all the tools to help you change it in a way that gets you healthier and better and have it go down in a really positive way. The other camp of people who are scared of the scale, it's usually because they have a really bad past relationship with it. So I totally understand that. They might really not want to start daily. They might not want to start at all. But they usually see with time that the fear of the scale comes down to not having the right tools before. And with the 2B Mindset, I really think they can develop a more positive relationship with food in their body and start to see the scale in a more sensible, not sensitive way.
I certainly think from, running test groups with you that there were so many people who started and be like, oh my God, the scale, I'm intimidated with the scale, I don't want to go on the scale. And little by little, it was interesting to watch people completely shift their mindset about the scale.
And love it.
Yeah.
And really rely on it to help them notice how much they're progressing and also learn from
What's
it.
working
and also pinpoint areas maybe they're an emotional eater and they didn't even know before, or maybe they just eat because food is always around them, or because they have a big appetite, or because they go to certain family events. And the scale just helps really pinpoint and individualize everyone's weight loss journey so they know what they can narrow their focus on. And once you work on that, you keep losing weight happily.
So why daily, not weekly?
Great question. So I used to lead these really large-scale weight loss seminars to hundreds of people, and from the start, maybe started with weekly, and I realized that's just not helpful for people. When people go on the scale only once a week, they're left feeling so frustrated because it could just stay the same once a week. And so then if you're working hard and eating salads all week, and then all of a sudden it stays the same weight, you're like, what's the point? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm frustrated. It just doesn't give you enough information because so much happens in a week, and you really could be losing 2 pounds Monday to Friday and gaining 2 pounds every weekend. So if you went on the scale only once a week, you'd be like, it's staying the same, what's the point? And it doesn't really narrow your focus and teach you what's working and what isn't. So then I started telling people Mondays and Fridays. Okay, everyone, let's go on the scale Mondays and Fridays. Monday will show you what happened over the weekend. Friday shows you what happened over the week. And that was actually really interesting for people because a lot of people assume they gain weight every weekend, and they don't necessarily. Some people gain weight during the week when things are stressful and overscheduled, and then on the weekend they lose weight because they're sleeping more, they have more time to food shop, So that really helped start to establish patterns for people going on Mondays and Fridays and really figuring that out. But then I started talking to more and more of my private clients in an intimate setting, and I realized that going on twice a week still created a negative relationship with food, because one client admitted to me that if she would go on the scale Monday, she would then give herself permission to eat gummy bears Monday night, because then she had till Friday to make it up. And that really bothered me because I was like, if you want gummy bears on Thursday night, you could have gummy bears on Thursday night too. And I find that people use not going on the scale and all these things to just create manipulations around food. And I really want people to get rid of that. So I love the daily scale, and I really think everyone starts to really enjoy that daily scale because it's consistency. So when you go on the scale every day, it really shows you how you can customize your eating plan, your lifestyle, but stay consistent somewhat with your weight loss.
And reach your goals, yeah.
Yeah, you just keep reaching your goals.
What do you say to somebody who's, who really has a aversion to the scale, is really genuinely scared of the scale, whether it's, prior, just a prior negative relationship with the scale, weighing themselves every day, being negative about it. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, it's usually like when I have a client who tells me I'm terrified of the scale and I've had a history of eating disorders, I have a history of issues. Yeah. Once we talk and get to the bottom of it, we realize it's less a fear of the scale and more a real fear of food. Right. Like that's what really gets uncovered. It's like a fear of food. And I've had clients who are like, I can't eat bread and I can't eat oil and I can't eat like peanut butter or I can't eat all these things. And so it's like they think they can never have dessert. They think, so it's like a fear of food. And then when they do eat these things, well, this is what breaks my heart more than anything on earth, is when people eat food, like anything, and then they say, I was bad. They come into my office and they're like, I was bad. I've been bad. And it's like, I just can't. It literally almost makes me cry, especially when I really love so many of my clients and they tell me that. I'm like, you're not bad. You're such a good person. Like, why are you associating badness with this? And when they start to go on the scale more often, they realize, actually, like, I thought that was bad, and I stayed the same weight, or it only went up a pound. Like, and it was actually really good and worth it. And I find when people start going on the scale, they realize they don't have to demonize food as much. They don't have to look at food as good and bad. They start to, when they do have treats, because they start to realize they can trust food and themselves around it, and they start to really enjoy it. And I think when people start going on the scale, they realize they don't have to listen to me. They don't have to listen to any scary blog posts. They start to realize what works for themselves, and they start to really trust the food, and they become less anxious and more free.
I think that's what's interesting, is that I think people have, they're scared of the scale, but it's really the food, and then all of a sudden they start getting on the scale and they become more free, less anxious, and stop obsessing about all the food.
Totally. And I think, we have this mindset now where we put some foods on a pedestal but feel like we can't eat them. So there are all these diets around no sugar and no carbs, putting them on like you can't have them because they're so sinful, because they're so good, and like you can't ever eat them. And it's like we almost like put them on a pedestal of like they're so glorious, but like we can't have them. And then we always make like vegetables like this, you should eat it because it's healthy. And it's like, it's just, ugh. And when people go on the scale, they actually start to change their cravings. Because my clients like literally text me, I'm craving 2 heads of romaine lettuce for dinner. Like, who am I?
We certainly found that in the test group. I feel like people all of a sudden, like, all their posts and everything about all these yummy, delicious, healthy things that like they're like loving and craving versus
like they're craving turnips. Like,
so what are some other indicators of progress? Aside from obviously the scale, a great indicator for your health, for your weight loss, for your progress. But what other indicators can people look at?
Pictures are really important. I really recommend pictures. It's amazing. People will be like, I've only lost 15 pounds, which, by the way, is a lot of weight. But some people don't have any perspective that it is. And then when they see pictures, they're like, oh, my gosh, like, I've really changed.
Yeah, one of the coaches over this weekend, like, posted photos, and she wasn't seeing it in the mirror for whatever reason. At 15, it was, like, only 15 or 20 pounds. But, like, then she, like, took photos, and she was like, oh, my God.
It was, like, totally changed her body in every way. So pictures, I know personally, like, I've literally tried to burn like all my pictures of me heavy, and I had to contact like all my childhood friends, like, please send me pictures. Do not get rid of your photos. You'll be so happy you had them, you took them. Body measurements are really helpful. Thigh, calf, arm, waist, hips, they really change. So they won't change day to day, like the scale might, but over time they really do change, and you really should be losing lots of inches with the 2B mindset for sure.
So if the scale isn't moving and people start to get frustrated, what can they do? Because that happens too.
Totally. If the scale's not going down, people are going to get really frustrated.
Yeah.
I always find it comes down to about 4 things that they can do. So the first one is their expectations are way too high. So you're focused on losing 10 pounds by a reunion, by a wedding, and it's not moving and you're freaking out. Or you know that you have 100 pounds to lose, or 50 pounds, or 20 pounds, and the scale's not moving and you're going nuts. Bring it back down to 2 pounds at a time, and it will start to move. If you're focused on too big of a number, it's going to completely overwhelm you, or a time frame. Focus on 2 pounds or even literally 2 ounces. Like everyone can lose 0.2 ounces, like 0.2 pounds in a day by just drinking more water, eating according to plated, tracking your food, eating more veggies. Everyone can lose 0.2 ounces a day. Focus on that, and that will give you more momentum to realize the scale is actually moving. The next thing is, anytime anyone is so frustrated with the scale, it's because they're not paying enough attention to the tracker.
Right.
And I am so guilty of this. Anytime I'm like, why is the scale not going down? I realize, well, did I really track my dinner so well last night? You know, because when I'm losing weight, I find like more trackable food helps. So like 2 chicken thighs and a big salad for dinner versus when the scale's not going down and I'm frustrated, I'm making more stir fries and I'm picking as I'm eating and I'm not really tracking as well. So usually when people are so frustrated with the scale, it's because they're not tracking enough. And once they focus on the action, they really see better results. So we have to focus more on the action rather than the results and the outcomes, and that's usually where the progress happens. The next thing is we're comparing. Comparing is the worst. With the 2B mindset, there's like nothing worse than people who compare. A lot of people say they're feeling good, they're eating, they're full and satisfied, but they're not losing as much as they did from a starvation diet. Like someone said, they're not losing as much as they did from a cabbage soup diet. And I'm like, well, I should hope that you're feeling happier with this. She's like, oh yeah, like life-changing. I'm like, then you're good. Then I'll stay off and you'll keep losing more weight.
Right.
So stop comparing yourself to what you've done in the past and to other people.
Other people, huge one.
Because we're all different. So if you're so frustrated by your weight loss because you're not focusing enough on your own. Someone in the group is like, I lost 6 pounds in the past 3 weeks, but this other person lost 20. It's like, maybe they had 20 to lose, and 6 pounds in 3 weeks when you know it's not going to come back on is great, and it adds up. And the fourth thing would be that you just have to believe you can. You know, like if you have to change your mindset. So a lot of people will think, I'm stuck, I'm not losing weight, I'm stuck, I'm not losing weight. I hit a plateau. Literally 5 days in, someone's like, I hit a plateau. It's like, it's 5 days in. Like, you haven't hit a plateau. You have to believe you can lose this weight. So a lot of people say, you know, I haven't lost weight, but I mean, I tell this to people all the time. If you've been tracking every day and going on the scale every day for a month, you should have at least 5 days within the month that it's going down. So not every day will go down, but after a month's time, there should be at least 5 days where it went down at least 0.2. And that means that you are losing weight on some days, and we just have to see what are you doing on those days versus other days. Obviously, it's not an exact science, and some people stay the same for like 3 days, but I've honestly seen daily trackers and daily scales. I've seen hundreds of them, and I've never seen anyone weigh the exact same amount for more than 5 days. If you have a scale that goes by ounces, so everyone's like, I'm not losing any weight, the scale's not moving. I'm like, the scale has to be moving some way, whether it's up or down, it's moving. And you got to believe that it's going to go down, that it can go down, and it will go down.
Thanks, Alana. Great information, and I hope it all helped you guys answer some questions that you had about the scale.